start with you.
Okay. As you know, the Township Zoning Commission met last week. They passed a resolution to refer to you or recommend to you the rezoning of 3 parcels of ground in Noble Township. It's 142.104 acres. Pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, the next step after they make a recommendation is to certify that to the township trustees. So here is, I've got multiple copies. Here is the certification, and what the township now needs to do as trustees is you need to set your hearing date. The hearing date has to be no more than 30 days from the date that you received the recommendation. So this being April 15th, the day we all know and love, you'll need to set your hearing date within 30 days. I have calculated that the 30th day would be May the 15th. That would be the latest day that you could have your public hearing. Many times townships try to coordinate their public hearing with their regularly scheduled meeting date. You have a meeting, as I calculated, on May the 9th at 7 p.m. But typically you schedule, other townships have scheduled their public hearing date ahead of the regular meeting, your regular meeting. So if you were to do that, I would think that you're going to want to allow roughly an hour and a half prior to that time. So you could, if you wish, schedule your meeting for May the 9th at 5:30. And then we need to designate the place that you're going to hold the meeting. If you hold the meeting like the zoning commission did at the community center, you may also then wish to schedule your regular meeting at the community center. So after the public hearing, you're not having to pick up and come here. To do that, I do the legal notice for the public hearing, okay? To change the location of your meeting date, that would be on you to notify the newspaper, okay? Now, you don't have to do it on May the 9th. We could do it at any time
Before May the 15th.
Before May the 15th. I can, let me look at something real quick. Because I already have a meeting on May the 7th at Deschutes Township, and May the 14th at Logan Township. So it's really kind of up to what the board wishes to do.
And do you have any more clarification for us on
The issue as to whether an option acts the same as a lease? I do not. I've not had a chance to look at that, but that would be something that I would be advising you of the night of your public hearing.
Okay.
Okay?
I guess do you need time to do that research, or,
Well,
I mean, I guess, do we lean closer to the May 15th date, give you time to get everything in order?
May 9th would be fine with me. I can have whatever research done by May 9th. The only thing I ask is it says within 30 days.
Yeah.
I have to give 10 days notice.
Gotcha.
It normally takes 3 to 4 days for me to get the notice done, get it to the paper, and the paper be able to print it. So I would not want to go any earlier than April 30th.
Okay.
Okay, so sometime in May.
I guess.
And that gives you a 15-day window. And I recognize.
You know, the meeting the other night took 2 hours?
Maybe, I guess. I think the actual meeting itself was concluded within an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, but there was a lot of activity afterwards. And so I know I didn't get out of there for quite a while.
I guess,
And I recognize the problem with doing it on May 9th, because one, you don't know how late it's going to go. But if you do, you just postpone. Well, first thing is, if you decide to hold the meeting over there, you start to conduct your regular meeting whenever you're done.
Okay. Do we wanna do them both the same night?
I'd say, what do you think, Ronnie?
Yeah. Okay.
Same night.
5:30 works for everybody?
Sounds good.
Okay. We will set the.
Have this, and I'll fill in what we need to fill in.
Set the date for the, board's hearing of the zoning change resolution for May 9th at 5:30. And then our regular township meeting will proceed after the hearing. And that will be at Noble School. Noble Community Park.
It's hard to get out of that,
It
isn't it?
is.
Oh, that's right. It's not you that's signing the mortgages, it's the fiscal officer.
You get all kinds of surprises.
Today has just been phone, though.
Now you need a motion.
Yeah, you need a motion and a second and a vote for that date. To receive the recommendation and to set the hearing date.
I move we receive the recommendation and we set the hearing date for May 9th at 5:30.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm voting in favor. I didn't get spit out in time. And this, our hearing will proceed much like the last hearing, correct?
It depends on how you wanna do it. If you want to basically run the meeting, set the ground rules, have a sign-in like we did the last time, and then make a determination as to time allotment for individuals to speak.
I mean, I wanna run it very similar to that. I think we need to give the individuals maybe just a little more time, and we need to
There's 3 times.
whoever's a little more time.
That's fine. Yeah, that is up to you, just like the 10 minutes and 3 minutes is what the zoning commission.
Yep.
That one's for your records. Okay? Anything else for me?
And you'll advise us on the,
I will tell you my anticipation is that the option is significant enough to grant an interest in the applicant's Weber to be the applicant for the rezoning, okay?
Okay.
But I'm going to verify that. I've also I had discussion with Mr. Ruck at the conclusion of the meeting, and as soon as I notify him of this date, he said that he would forward to me a copy of the option agreement that is signed, so that I can look at it and see what it holds. The other thing that I should say, the revised code does not require individual notice to the surrounding property owners like it was for the zoning commission. However, I will go ahead and forward those to the same individuals, okay?
Any other questions for Ed? Okay.
Okay? I will see you on the 9th, and we'll have an answer for you on that issue.
Okay.
All right? Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Troy, do you have anything for the good of the order?
The only thing I have is to follow up on the, plan on one, out there on 116, the EPA should probably be in sometime this week yet. Told me they're gonna come down and reassess.
Okay.
Because they did send a notice out,
Mm-hmm.
and, it appeared some of it got done, but not all accordingly, so I think there'll be 2 divisions coming in on that. As soon as I know more, I'll let you know.
Were they out the last time?
Yes, they came out last time, they're actually looking at, not only the front of the property, but by rules, it has to have a fence all the way around it, and it's supposed to be clear of debris is what this is, so I think they're gonna enforce that.
Okay.
So I'll know more when we get here.
Hopefully they do something.
And then I'll start my inspections probably following.
Okay.
That's all I have.
That'll work.
That's
Thank you.
it for me.
You got anything you need?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
Vicki, do you have anything on, the community center?
I got $120 in, meats, it's not, but there's $120 in meat sales, and this is for the rentals. There's,
Oh.
900 there.
Okay.
And the other thing, the lady that won the, half price
Mm-hmm.
night at Noble, am I supposed to give her half price on just the cost, or am I supposed to give her half price on the deposit too? She wanted to know so that we make sure we get everything right, cause she has a date that she wants
I think the deposit probably needs to stay,
full deposit.
Yeah.
Okay,
because that's our clean leverage.
okay.
How big a party is she gonna
That's a
have?
graduation party.
Graduation.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
but they've been there before and they've always cleaned up, but
Good.
yeah, I told her, I said it's in check form, we don't cash it, as long as you clean up, you get your check back.
Yep.
And so she's okay with that,
Okay.
so.
And I got 3 of the raffle items delivered today, not heard back from the clerk yet.
Okay.
Moved them in the front room,
Okay,
so the stage is cleared.
did you pick your stuff up? Or you-
Yep, I got all mine, I got.
So all we've got, we have $5 sleeves of, 1 pound really good sausage for sale if anybody wants them. And if you buy 5, we'll give you the 5th one free. So,
And I,
Is there quite a bunch left of the sausage?
yeah, they didn't advertise it very well that night. So we have maybe a couple packs of barbecue left and 2 plain, I think, is it.
I picked up 2 packs of barbecue that I need to pay for tonight.
Oh, well, that's between
Yep.
you guys, yeah. So how'd we do?
Do you have your totals together?
No, I do not, cause I don't have it all totaled up yet. I just made the
Got it rough?
deposit today.
You got a rough estimate?
I wanna say we're around 18. Maybe.
Profit?
Yeah,
Okay.
The auction
that's what
was
I'm
around-
guessing.
Around 11 on the auction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we
Yes,
had a
yes,
pretty
you
decent
did
crowd.
fine there. You haven't had a real good crowd.
I don't think we didn't end up putting the other, cause in past years, we folded those last 2 tables down after the cake wheel got done, which we didn't do that. So we might have been down a little bit from,
A lot of people ate and left,
okay.
I do know that.
There, I've had several people say there was quite a bit going on around that
Yeah.
Saturday.
So how many pounds of pork is that? Cause I know when we were spotting up, you said you usually have 13, where did we end up?
We had 17 trays.
So just three more trays than normal?
Yeah, 17 trays, so that's 3 more than normal, and they were packed. Big homes.
Before, we went down to 3 homes. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
It was always four.
three homes and Brian's one, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we've done that for the
So-
last, what, 5 years at least? I think.
So,
Yeah, we cooked 3 and put 1 in the sauce.
Yeah. That's all I got.
okay. Alyssa, do you have anything for us? Nope. Missy, I guess, what have you got? Okay.
I don't know, you guys have to bear with me, cause I don't know what I'm doing here. I have that goes to you. Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
I did that.
I didn't know if there was something I was supposed to take and pass around.
Yeah, that's probably mine.
Oh,
'Cause I gave
yes,
it to
that
you
is
guys.
yours.
It is mine. I did it differently.
Okay.
You're fine.
You can pass me down the rig.
Yep.
This is for Mark.
Is Kyle here or is he? I didn't see him.
He said
I
he was
haven't
running
heard
late.
from him.
Oh, he's going around, right? Okay.
We met at 3:30, right?
Yeah.
3:30.
One. There's 31 days.
It's gonna be more like
Yeah, I screw you all over the time.
First time.
I'll pass it back.
Steve, did you wanna explain this? I don't have to explain this thing. I know you explained it to me, but it's on that.
You couldn't stay away.
I know,
He was hiding back there, Sean.
Kyle peeking in the window.
should I or shouldn't I?
Trying to set extra around.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Your guys' disability insurance, they won't add me anymore, so yours can continue,
Mhm.
but I either have to find something else, or I don't know what else the other option was to.
Teachers Protective no longer is doing any underwriting of any new disability, policy. So you three guys, we were all on, Teachers Protective. So you three guys can stay on there, but they won't write Missy. Now, the agency that is through will write her a disability policy, but it won't be teachers, yeah, and she's gonna have to write to check, so I told her in lieu of that, the other option is, you guys all get on a different policy, and then you all get on the same policy, but they're gonna raise your rates. So I would probably suggest you three stay on there and let her go on a different company.
Do we price both options?
You can. I didn't do any pricing because I called them up to switch over, and she goes, well, they don't write it anymore, so, but we can write you with a new company. I said, well, the rate's gonna be increased for the, three already on it. Yeah. So, I told Missy either she can go on a different company, or if she wants to, whatever the amount would be for disability, if she wanted to put like
Who's seeking?
health or
That's mine.
a life
Okay, so Brian
policy.
needs to sign
You
on.
guys got that too, if you guys wanna agree to that, so.
Okay.
Well, that was the-
Zoning
This is
inspectors.
gonna sign on.
I know.
Okay.
I'll do it, once you guys actually give out, I'll sign them.
I called them twice.
I never thought of that.
Come over and check everything out.
Thought I was doing so well.
Okay, so St. Mary's County just charged us for one run and all that stuff, then?
Yeah.
Well, that was nice.
Which one do I see? Sneezing, is he done?
Yes, he's done.
Steve, how often they charge us on that UAN fee?
Quarterly.
Did that go up?
Oh,
It seemed like it's more or less been.
it's the state, whatever they charge you pay.
I know.
Yeah. Well, you get your calendar up? What is Easter, the 20th,
Easter's 20th of March?
April.
Wow, so it's,
Cause we normally run before Easter, don't we? We run
We sure
after.
didn't this year.
No, we didn't this year. Never been snowflakes if we'd done that.
Yeah. If you wanna do it the weekend, I got somebody that's interested in the weekend of the 12th.
I don't think Easter weekend,
No,
yeah.
no, I got somebody interested in the 12th, but I told him, I said, that's usually about when we have it,
Mhm.
so. Up to you,
The fifth?
What's after?
you wanna do the 5th?
So there is Easter weekend. She's got
Which one?
10th,
18th is Easter?
19th to 20th. 20th is Easter. She's got a potential rental for 12. Fifth,
The 26th.
and the 26th. 26th, you're starting to flirt with good weather.
It's true.
Talking farming,
Mm-hmm.
I know,
You good?
it's all
Okay.
what day?
April 5th.
April 5th.
Okay, I'm assuming everyone here is here about the zoning issue. Is there anybody that isn't here about the zoning I guess, how much time do we wanna allow? I mean, I guess I don't want everybody to take 20 minutes, cause it'll be tomorrow morning when we get home. But I am willing to let you, whoever, stand up and say a few things. Keep it reasonable and on point, and if we can all be courteous, that'd be great.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If you, I mean, there's a few of us that were prepared to present some things, in some type of order, for you guys really.
Okay.
But if you're gonna have this hearing on the 9th, and you're gonna hear from us, I don't know about everybody else, I'm speaking for myself, but if I would know that you're not going to make a decision that evening, then why present it to you twice and bother you now? If you're not sure, then we'll go through the motions, but if,
We're, you know, obviously, we're gonna hear it on the 9th. I don't know whether we're gonna make a decision. I think some of that's gonna depend on what Ed comes up with.
that's another question.
And he was not.
I mean, are
Okay.
we looking at an illegal?
The question before Ed is Weber is leasing the property from Stoners. And the way I understand it, it's a, what, conditional lease? Is that the way to,
I would say option.
option,
Conditional
okay? And the question is, with that type of a setup, can they really ask for rezoning? And that's what Ed is researching. Just to clarify, so everybody understands, and I don't completely understand.
The attorney have said that
He can what?
he said even a verbal agreement is enough to make it, reasonable to ask for, a variance.
Really?
So, and I am hoping, like I said, I don't know that I'm gonna be able to give you all a lot more time, but I'm hoping for more than 3 minutes. You know, we've discussed 4 and 5, you know, and it's gonna depend on how many people. You know, if I've got 50 people that wanna talk, we can't do 5 minutes, 10 minutes apiece. And I also am planning on giving Weber's a little more time. We're planning on having the speaker system on the stage, so hopefully everybody can hear better. And I'm hoping to bring a bigger screen and put it on the stage so everybody can see better. I was kinda disappointed, there was a lot of us couldn't see the screen, and I was kinda looking through the back of it, and everything was backwards. So, I'm hoping we can present you with a better meeting. I like the organization, but I think everyone needed a little more time to have a voice. Lauren?
Yeah, I have a question on that too. I think there was a lot of misunderstanding as far as write your name down to say a speech or write your name down to pose questions. So I would like for that maybe to be a little bit more, differentiated.
Okay. And the hearing is, this hearing is still going to be on changing zoning.
Right.
Not permitting quarry.
Yeah.
Right.
The permitting quarrying will be another public meeting. So,
They voted, didn't
yes, the questions need to be within, you know, the realm.
Sure. Thank you.
I have a request for their presentation too. If they could verify ahead of time that is the scale, I noticed it was shrunk. So the text could be put on the side, and I think that's a little misleading.
Okay, I think some of that's gonna depend on the projector and.
Understand, if it's not, maybe they can state that it's not the scale, just so
Okay.
there's no, misleading there.
Yep. And Nate,
Back to the filing, do we have a copy of that, or do you have a copy of what they actually, not the legal notice from Ed, but the actual filing,
No,
like that we can look at it, because that should be public info, I would think that.
I think Ed has that.
So I called there this last week, and he said that the zoning commission had it,
Okay, well,
and I asked them, and they don't have it. So, where do I get a copy of the filing that Weber filed?
Who'd you talk to on the zoning commission?
I don't really wanna say that.
Okay.
Is it, okay,
Okay. I think we probably need to talk to either Cam or Aaron, because Aaron's secretary, correct?
I think Aaron has that paper.
Okay.
To my knowledge, I know the attendance sheet from the door. I know he has that, and I think he's got the other paperwork too.
So he's the secretary for the zoning commission.
okay.
So yes, he probably has that on file.
Cause I think people should see that. Like, I mean, more people are interested in just Ed Pearson if it was filed correctly. That's obviously what he's researching. We know that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I would think that each zoning board member should have had a copy of it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I am not familiar enough with.
So should
And
trustees.
this also comes back to the zoning commission has not met very much and probably needs to run organizational meetings more often.
Two of them had never met at all, right? Poor thing for them to get stuck in.
Yep, I agree.
Amen.
It really was. I
Yeah,
felt
they-
sorry for them.
Good.
Mr. Piggyback off of that, and somebody can go have
Huh?
a public record request.
Okay.
Send it to the trustees.
Yeah.
Well, how much is Stoner gonna give me here?
I don't know, I should read this off
You
the
know,
word for word.
that
but
should
if
be-
you guys want
You
it,
can,
and,
you can, or I can.
That all
doesn't
should
matter.
be in
The
that
public records request
agreement
for
between him
any
and Weber.
information regarding the 142 acres in the last 2 years on public record.
Okay.
I did ask a little aggressive date on there, just due to the timing of the meeting, if it's possible to have that information 2 weeks prior to the meeting, just so we have time to evaluate it. I don't know if that's possible, but if it's not gonna be able to get evaluated, so that's my concern.
I'll just tell you right now, not to speak out of turn, we don't have anything on there. The only thing we have is what came to light, just,
In the zoning commission,
Yes.
or zoning commission meeting.
that has been agricultural, zoned agricultural. Nothing was done on it beforehand, this is the only time it's been done. I mean, you can give them the request, Missy will send it back with, there's no information, on that, but, I mean, if you want to go through the steps, that's fine. But we, as of right now, until this process started, we had nothing on that.
You mean by, Steve, what do you mean by nothing going in?
Just-
never
just-
been
there's
brought
never
to
been- It was just farm ground, nothing,
Okay.
I mean,
That's-
there was no change in zoning or anything to
There's
that
been no
extent.
conversations on this.
He got everything given to him.
Well,
Well,
when we had the zoning commission, and the zoning commission had met on other items, a couple of changes in the zoning books that we're working on. And when we got done with that meeting, Ed turned and said, by the way, here you go.
I wouldn't not speak,
So, we
so I
were,
quit.
we were caught just about as blind as everyone else.
This record request though would, release the records, basically that the zoning commission should have received for the public to also view, is that correct? That would be the only thing that's filed on that land in the past 2 years that Luke is asking for?
Yes.
Okay, so there would be
The
something, and
zoning
it wouldn't
records
necessarily be
would-
anything, it would be one thing at least.
The records request would have to go to the zoning commission, because we don't have,
Yeah, I don't know, I mean,
I mean, there's.
I kept the records.
so.
I guess, I don't know, Kyle, they initially approached you, I'm assuming, and then you sent it ahead, that's how that started out.
Nobody,
Yeah,
like
like
Teflon,
You wanna walk
nothing
through the
sticks.
procedure?
Yes,
They sent a letter, they approached me,
I will.
I called Ed,
We're talking about Weber right now, so,
yeah,
okay.
Tell you to shut.
Paul Lacey, he was the guy, taller guy, I don't think he spoke, but he's their mining guy.
Okay.
He said, we wanna rezone this, what do we need? So I called Ed, what do they need? Write a letter, make a request. Okay? So, I did that. Took a picture of it first and sent it to him, I said, this is what you're gonna get, just so you know. Is there any problems with it? Saves me a trip to Walpole. Nope, looks good. Okay, I give it to him with a check, cause he won't act unless he's got the check, or at least some evidence, the check. And, so after I got the letter and the check, I took it over to him, and then it's in his hands after that.
In the head's hands.
Yep.
And the check he's speaking of is there is a charge to, for change of zoning.
Yeah.
So it's really that simple, I mean, it's nothing.
So again, after that, your hands, Ed took over.
Yeah, and then he writes it up in legalese and, sends it out to all the adjacent property owners. Zoning commission, he actually emailed it to me and I emailed it to Steve, and then you sent it out.
I passed it on to the zoning commission
Yeah.
and the trustees.
But we don't vet what Ed says, I mean, we don't tell him what to do, he's the dog and we're the tail.
He's your, but, he's your legal advisor.
He is,
He's not
he's our
just a
legal
legal advisor for you, he's a legal advisor for, that's what prosecutors do, just so everybody knows. He's the legal advisor for all the trustees in the county.
Right.
Has been.
So did the zoning commission get a copy of that then that you were speaking of, that you said you passed out to the zoning commission? Cause Dave Overman said he didn't.
That would have been
Well,
legal.
I got a.
You got an email, see,
I
I don't know what, it was what, 2 or 3 pages? I know Vicky will remember. It was everything that Kyle had forwarded from Ed.
I need to correct. I got your email about the meetings. Computer smart me, I printed out, I could print out the meeting.
The attachments
The
did.
three page one, I can't get anything out on my computer, so I was thinking I didn't get anything, but I'll correct myself. There was something came, but I don't know what it was.
Well, there should have been an attachment, yeah, with that meeting notice.
Right, so
If you need it, I mean, you can hard copy it and send it to you, but.
Good, that's back down to that. I apologize, because I thought I had not gotten it, I may have gotten it, but not very computers.
Don't worry, Dave, I know what you mean.
Put it in the mail.
Yeah.
But that email that you sent would be part of the public records request. That's what we're asking. Okay, thank you. That's all.
If you want that, yeah, you, sure.
Yeah,
We
that's
can
what we're asking.
regenerate it.
We can put that together.
Thank you.
Right. Is that what you want then, Luke?
Yeah, any public records on that topic.
So, where we're at here, do we wanna present, you want us to present, or do you want us to wait?
Everything that you present, I got a feeling we're gonna represent on the 9th. I'm not
My
gonna
fear
tell
is,
you,
my fear is, and I've known all you guys for a lot of years, but my fear is, there's gonna be a lot that there's gonna be some things that we present, and at the zoning hearing, I presented 3 or 4 things, and I don't think that, and nobody's fault. I'm not blaming anybody, but not all the questions got answered. And my fear is that I want you guys to take a look at this. We're trying to trust your decision, I want you to take a good look at it, and I don't know if 2 hours from 5:30 to 7:30 or 8, and then make your decision, unless it would appear to me, that if that's done, there's some things that have already been decided. And I hate to think that, and I hate to say it, but that's what
I got a tendency to agree with you there.
Send it.
at least humor us and make it appear like you're taking a good look at this. I mean, if nothing else, I mean, I believe that you will, but to make that decision that night, man, on something that affects not even as much me as it does Vicky and the stores. If I forget somebody, I apologize. but it affects their lives, their land. And for somebody who's not living next to it, where it's gonna affect it, you don't realize what that's gonna do. I mean, Les can't come to these meetings, rightfully so, but we have spoken about this every night, mostly her listening to me, because most of you know how I am. Be quiet, Sarge. I just think, man, we need to know that you're gonna take a good look at this and go and listen to us, because we put you all in where you're at. We trust you. Listen to the majority of us. And I do have a few, like, one thing, 5:30 it's not so tough for me anymore, but I do still do a little work, and it'll be tough for me to get here that night. It is.
Well, and I'm gonna have to take off work early too, because we don't close till 5:30.
Well, for people who can't make it, can they submit something to you through somebody else? Will you at least take, like if Lauren is here, and if Lauren is here that night, and let's say I can't make it, but I submit some questions to her that I have, can she at least submit it? If she doesn't have time to go over it, at least hand it to you so you can take a look? And not just for me, for
I
everybody.
can do that.
Okay.
Point, well, the meeting starts at 5:30, it's gonna take an hour and a half for you, that's for your business meeting.
No,
No,
the
the
zoning
hearing
meeting,
will be
the zoning meeting will be first, and then whenever that's over, we'll proceed on to the business meeting.
Do you guys have to make a decision that night, or do you have so much time to
think-
decide?
Do we get the option to table it?
That's an Ed question.
We're gonna have to talk to Ed if we can table it.
Didn't he say earlier that
I think he said they can, just like.
they can what?
They can table it with the zoning commission.
I thought he said that.
I think
I'm
we
not
can.
sure.
I think we
I
can.
think you can go 30 days.
Yes.
But they can vote on it that night too, right?
We can.
Yes.
Yes,
That's
we can.
important.
Now, here's another thing. What happens if your vote is no to the zoning? Hypothetical. What happens if your vote is no? Does the rezoning team, or does the team that's in favor, I'll call the team right now, that's in favor of the zoning, do they have to file a referendum and go through what?
They
we'll
would
have to
go through the same process.
They would have to go through this, so if you voted no, they would have to go through the same process, so we could see if the people wanted to vote in their favor then, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I think either way, that can go to a ballot vote. And we should have asked Ed that question tonight.
Is there any way,
If
I know
we
Ed,
can say-
we've talked about this before over the years, I know Ed's hard to get hold of, and I'm not busy, but is there any way you can get maybe Lauren's kind of representing the most of us here, can you get Lauren that answer, can somebody
Yes.
find that out? for
Yep.
her? Perfect.
Just to kind of add to that, the way I understand the code is if the issue fails or passes, that there's not that passes that goes directly to the vote either. There's things that have to happen, there's a very stringent process to go through the Board of Elections to get it moved to a ballot.
Yes.
So either way, this is what I'm getting at, is that just because a decision's made doesn't mean that somebody will be able to get the Board of Elections to approve it.
You've got 30 days, and if you dot all of your i's and cross all the t's, and you have the proper numbers, it's on the ballot. And I know the deadline to get on that ballot is in July sometime.
August 10th.
I think
Is
it's
it August?
That's right.
Okay.
And
We were
then,
there this morning.
just to, again, piggyback off what Luke is saying, whomever is going to file that referendum, whether it be the people that are opposed or against, will have to spend significant of their own money to get with the legal team to write that draft, to write that attachment of what it's going to be against. So I just wanna make that clear, that us as obviously opposers would have to spend significant money to hire an attorney to work for us to create an attachment. If the trustees would vote yes, then we would be forced to create that referendum, seek legal counsel, spend a lot of money for the attorney to write that up, okay? Does everybody understand that's gonna come out of our pockets?
Did you get that from election board, some of that today?
And yeah, absolutely. And then if they were to vote no, like you mentioned, it's dead. The other team, the supporters of the rezoning, which I think are few and far between, would have to obtain the correct percentage of votes, spend the money, and make sure all their I's dotted and T's are crossed to submit to be on the ballot. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So since you were there,
Yeah.
and we don't
If we have to.
do this, I mean, but anyway, so the zoning, the Board of Elections doesn't have a ready-made form for this type of a thing.
Correct, they do not. That's something that you would have to spend your own money on,
Okay.
seek legal.
But
No, I understand, I appreciate you being interested in it, but it, I mean, it would be a financial burden on a lot of us when really the power
Well,
we're presenting.
I had no idea, and I guess I was just thinking that maybe they had a ready-made form.
They don't.
You know, when we run for trustee or clerk or any of that, they've got a ready-made form, and I just,
Right, that's.
I mean, I'm sure they probably have it for mayors and
Right.
commissioners, sheriff, and all that.
This is-
I didn't know, I thought maybe they just went to the drawer and went, oh, here you go.
No,
They have a form that they hand you, but it has to be filled out by an attorney. That's just it. It has to be filled out. It's already in the attorney's hands.
And it's not funded by anybody. Funded, but gonna come out of our pockets to fight when already the majority of us are saying we don't want it. Just so you know. And I mean, we have a lot more information that we're really anxious to present too, so.
I got a question, just kind of with what they're going on. So if we would, just my thought for you guys, if we would allow one industrial area, a new industrial area, sorry, whether it's a quarry or not, even if it's that's the original interest, it doesn't have to stay that way.
And it doesn't, to back off of that, once you zone it as industrial, it becomes industrial. The quarrying is a whole nother step of this process, which I think everyone's clear on, but it's not, okay, we'll make it industrial, but only if the quarry passes whatever that process may be. Where basically, once that becomes industrial, I mean, you know, CTEX, AAP, any factory, any,
Amazon.
Yeah,
and it doesn't stop at one parcel.
I guess what my whole thing was with that is, does Noble Township have any, other than Ed, legal protection to keep a maybe billion-dollar industry out there abiding by laws and regulations that we want? I know, and I'm not trying to pick on them, but they said they'd put a sign, no turn on right. So what happens if, I'll just be Jeff Bezos, I walk up, that's the perfect location, 100-acre super factory out there for distribution packages, and now half my drivers go hog-blowing glaze. That no right-hand turn is no favor anymore. And, I mean, I guess me, I mean, whether, I know it affects me probably more than some of you, not as much as others, but all of us, it's gonna affect our tax dollars at the end of the day. If we have to repave that road, Schillinger, all the way down to Lot 14, because here's my other opinion, working in a large factory, you always have to have two ways out. Any type of confined work, any large, like meeting room, there's a reason why there's two doors out of this building. So saying, hey, we're just gonna turn right, two semis collide head on, the only way to safely rescue is from the south. Well, now the response team can't make that turn on that hard right turn on that bridge. I mean, that's all stuff we have to consider. I mean, saying that they're only gonna go right's great, but you don't know the end answer. So whether it stays a quarry, you can't tell me there'll never be an accident. I mean, I would love if that was the truth. I hope there's no accidents in Noble Township. I don't want anyone hurt, I don't want anyone to get worse. But, I mean, that's my biggest struggle with that is, just what I read online, and I know, I didn't put anything online, but just reading, it's about $2.5 million a mile to rip out and install a road. Because that, I mean, no one's gonna argue that drives a truck, that you can put 2 3/4 ton trucks through any of those corners at the same time, driving in opposing directions. Well, now we're gonna add 18-wheelers, semis, I mean, cause those all haul gravel and whatever else out of the quarry, I know that, we all know that. So I guess my biggest struggle is also, where do we get our land going all the way forward to lot 14?
Thank you.
It's not just, I mean, and I honestly don't know the lady's house. I just know as I'm driving, cause I've got interest too, is I'm worried, I mean, the house that's right after that hard 90 where a garage sits 2 foot off the road, that's maybe an exaggeration, but I can't say, hey, I need half of the money, it's $10, he's broke, give me 9. Cause you're gonna be like, no, he needs his half too. And I guess too, we're opening a whole new can of worms. Yes, you know what, the township may be able to go to Vicky, I'm just gonna pick on you, and say, hey Vicky, we're gonna give you $2 million for your set of land to get the road wide enough to go out.
I'll pick on that.
Well, I'm cheating that. So,
They can have mine.
Yeah.
but, you know, then you go to Luke and he's like, no,
I'll
not
move to another
selling,
township.
no interest
Yeah.
for Lauren because she lives there.
Yeah,
I'm not
Lauren
selling
doesn't.
because
Yeah.
this is gonna impeach on my
I'll
front
go to
porch to
Florida.
where maybe somebody just,
I
farmland
wanna go live
to where
with
you're
Amish.
pushing commercial traffic now closer to my residence. I mean, so then it opens a whole new can of worms. So now how, I mean, eminent domain's obviously something in our government. It's where the government says that they can basically just tell you that your house, your land, whatever you own, real estate wise, is worth so much money, it's end of discussion.
And it would not be us making the decision or Weber's making the decision. It would be you guys making the decision. And you're taking my farm down.
And also, and I know Weber's had brought up this one, this is also something else too, and a little example. So they said that they would be willing to help with paving the road. I own,
Right.
let's just say I own a building supply company, one of you guys come to me and says, hey, I wanna build a house, would you be willing to help? And I say, absolutely. If I give you a check for $200,000, does that help you? Yeah. If I show up every Saturday, help you put screws, nails in it, does that help you? If I give you a box of nails every week, you come in when you're doing it, does that help you? Now, if I just sell you the materials to build your house, is that helping you build your house? I mean, it
As
is.
far as a lot of that part, that particular part would fall into the conditional use permit. You know, if you got to that point, you would put your stipulations into the conditional use of how that would.
Right, but what I'm saying is, to get that road done, however says we'd help. Them selling the township stone is helping, right? Is that not, I mean, that's, we need stone to build a
We
road,
need stone to build a road.
is that helping?
It is.
So, I mean, his answer was probably technically correct, he'd be happy to sell us all the stone, he'd sell stone to repave the whole township.
Most of our houses are sitting on some sort of stone that came out of the quarry.
Yes, I absolutely, I get that, I understand that, I guess I just, you know, when he says, I'll help,
Yes,
and then that was it.
that is,
To back off of that though too, is, and that's, you know, as the car, you know, before the horses, you passing it as industrial, we don't care about that quarry, he can say whatever he wants, cause that's a conditional use, I mean, that's a whole nother step where
yeah.
basically
But it does,
you're passing that as industrial, say it, and to bring up another point I was gonna say earlier was, basically when zoning said, you know, it's industrial already, the quarry is, right there. The difference between that being industrial and the place on Schillinger Lot 14 area, this is a county road. That is a township road. This was made for traffic. That was made for horse and buggy. I mean, back in the day, it's honestly what it was, where this is thoroughfare maintained by the county. Not saying you guys don't have, you know, some
One
right
thing
or
you didn't see is back in 1974, 75, when this was put in, the county lived on this road for several years, getting it built up, okay? It was just a back road. I've seen them, they went this whole way, dug big holes in the center of the road, and they put concrete or stone in that road to get the base set up. So the county did spend money doing it. It just didn't magically appear, you got stove trucks running on it.
Yeah, I get that, but that's
Yeah.
that's the thing where the county footed that bill.
Are you
Where that would be a township road, county don't care. I mean, the extent of their caring is Ed being your legal representation. Outside of that, the county's not gonna say, you know, hey, we got $5 million, you want to do it, we'll cut you a check for 2 to build that road up. You know, that's gonna ultimately fall on, because if you, in my opinion, in this too happy world we live in, you know, don't turn right over this bridge. Well, the lady at McDonald's, you know, soon because you spilled coffee. You know coffee's hot when you brew it in the morning. It's the same thing where, you know, you say, yeah, we want industrial here, yet we lack the infrastructure to do it. So does that pose the township, you know, for potential liability when a semi collapses that bridge and says, you know, you said we could have industrial out here?
I don't know.
I mean, that's just, you know, my thought on it.
We have to look at the whole picture.
Yeah, and I mean, I get there's other parts to it, and we're obviously against it, but they're not bringing in any revenue there's no income taxes, no sales tax.
There's some kind of tax, right? There's something that comes
We,
in township.
all
It's not
we get
money.
is property tax.
What's that?
This is all we get is property tax.
Yeah,
So-
the
How you gonna
CAUV
pay
goes
for the
off
rail?
on
How you gonna
the
get property
The
tax?
property tax on the state rate,
$3,200 roughly for that plot.
How's that gonna pay for the roads?
Yeah.
It's not, we're going to, taxes will go up.
I have a little summary of stuff I wanted
I
to
want
say, would you
fixed
guys be interested
income.
in entertaining it? I probably will repeat a lot of this, but I would kinda like to get some of my thoughts out there, so you guys have time to think about this before.
That's fine.
Stand up. This isn't the best prepared public speech. And I don't wanna forget anything that I have just on my paper, so I'm
If you
gonna.
don't mind it, tell me who you are, I don't know you.
Absolutely, I'm just gonna read a lot of this from the paper, though, so I wanna apologize ahead of time.
Okay.
I'm Luke Zink, so I'm kind of a little different than a lot of the drivers, that's been speaking up about this. A lot of people have been neighbors to, you know, the proposed zoning. I'm not a neighbor to it, I'm a general Noble Township resident. I live on Glenwood Road between 66 and 66A. I basically live in Greg's backyard.
Yep, I know you are.
Grandma's house.
Yep, exactly. So, my opinions are a little bit different than a lot of the passion I hear about the people that are directly beside the quarry. So I'd like to hit on some of those. So first, you know, I want to thank you for your time today. I know it's a lot different than probably your typical trustee meetings, so we appreciate you guys hearing us out and letting us talk a little bit, so thank you. Before the zoning meeting, you know, I expected to hear on topics of how industrializing the proposed 142 acres would benefit Noble Township, although I did not hear anything to support how this would do so. Instead, with Mr. Weber's attendance and the people's passion about the quarry, all I heard was conversations about the quarry. I was baffled on how a vote could be made at that time to make industrializing the land when the benefits were not discussed in any extent. Instead, all the discussion and thoughts were on another quarry. I understand Mr. Weber submitted the application, so it's understood why a quarry is a topic of discussion. But the discussion to industrialize 142 acres in the center of Noble Township is larger than a quarry. And this intends to take up a fraction of the 142 acres proposed to be zoned, or zoned industrial. So with that being said, it concerns me that in November 2023, all Boys County voters passed tax levies for heritage trails. Voters passed this to pay their own money in all Boys County. Out of Noble Township majority voted to pass the levy as well. So the voters decided to give up their own money in Noble Township to help support heritage trails. Therefore, so we recently passed desires for Noble Township to support improving towpaths, canal trails, wildlife preservations, etc. Heritage Trails supports up to 110 acres of land and water in Old County, with the majority of that being in Noble Township, including Cuffner Nature Preserve on 66A, which is 15.8 acres, the McInwall Nature Preserve, which is 71.3 acres total, Block 14 Park, Bloody Bridge Trailhead, and the towpath that extends 8 miles. Now this supports recreation, tourism, the health and well-being, environmental conservation, historical preservation, and community connectivity, and educational opportunities. Vicky just told me they had a walk out there, a set-up walk on Sunday. A bunch of kids out there, a wildlife walk, all part of this Heritage Trails.
That's also part of the national.
Yes, it's a national trail, that's a good point as well. So the impact of industrializing 142 acres right beside the area in the same township reverses the direction the township has done so while progressing towards. This has a negative impact on wildlife, pollution, dust, traffic, with the extending of the industry on how it impacts the attractions in our township. If this were to pass, I'm concerned on the precedent it sets for future scenarios. If an individual wants to rezone a set of agricultural land, make it industrial, how can their request be denied if we approve this? For this not to set a bad precedent, there needs to be some solid reasoning on why the 142 acres of industrialized land is the best decision for Noble Township. If it's unsure on how this benefits Noble Township more than Heritage Trails or prime agricultural land, then I highly urge you to deny Weber's request. Now I have a question for Mr. Stoner. We haven't had many questions answered, or any questions answered by Mr. Stoner. With his intent to lease the 142 acres to Weber, I'm confused on the motive. So I don't understand how someone would want to lease land that Stoner would eventually get back. This is a lease, not a sell. Land he would eventually get back to someone that's just gonna put a giant hole in the ground. Because in the end, what he gets back is a giant hole in the ground. So it really confuses me and makes me concerned on what the real intent is for this industrialized land. This is a real concern, a concern of a lot of people. So I have heard some rumors that there's been discussion to pass this already due to the fact that if it gets on a ballot and it gets voted no, that the issue is dead and cannot be resubmitted. I'm just saying those were rumors that's going around, just letting everybody know that. I don't know if they're true or not. I'm not stating that they're true, they're just rumors. But I do want to urge if that's true, this is a false statement, and I just encourage you guys to investigate that further. It is not dead if it's voted no through a public vote. I did talk to Ed today and asked him a question about that, and he said that if they would rewrite this in any way, they could go right back to the zoning board and start the process over. So I just want to encourage you, if there's any thought on that, please investigate that a little bit. And I have not came across anyone fully pushing or supporting this other than Stoners, the Weber Group, the trucking companies and their drivers, and of those individuals, maybe one or two of those lives in Noble Township, and that might even be a stretch. That's the only people I've heard, and if there's more, there could be, I don't know. But I've talked to a lot of people, we've heard a lot of chatter through the community, obviously. I haven't heard of anybody else pushing this. So I stand here with full optimism that the trustees are considering the voices of the people, and you're gonna make the best decision for the future of Noble Township and Noble Township residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a chance we get a copy of that?
I just, I actually intended to give it to you, and I'm up here nervous as hell.
You and our sheriff two don't got in front of me.
So, that's voted no by those guys or a public vote?
It's not
And
dead either way. Nothing makes it dead where it can't be resubmitted, it can't be resubmitted.
Under a different wording.
So you'd have to just keep voting no until until the other
Yes.
party would give up?
To where?
They can reapply it in different terms, different
The
stages.
only benefit
Yeah,
is
we can
we have to get a little bit of that money.
yeah, the money
Either way,
comes.
either way.
Either way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they forfeit their money for the application, but I mean, if it's, I don't know what the application fee is for that, but $500, I mean, you're probably talking. They got more than $500.
But that's not a reason just to pass it.
What's Steve here think businesses, if something gets killed, they'll either try to sweeten it somehow, or they'll just leave, I mean, Honda's a big one. Honda basically held Anna by the throat, convinced them, offered them promises, ask someone that lives in Anna how much they love paying their water bills. Honda's initially told them that they would send all their wastewater and all their water that they were gonna use for industrial back into town. Anna built a water processing plant about 3 times the size that it needed. And the only way that water processing plant can run is it just has to run at full capacity. They can't shut off 1/3 of the pumps, they can't use 1/3 of the baths, whatever it is. The average resident pays $90 plus a month for water in Anna. Because basically they have to run those pumps constantly for no good reason. Because they found out it was cheaper just to run a line all the way down to Sydney.
Anybody else got anything? Dusty?
I'd like to speak a little bit. The city of St. Mary's, have you guys thought about if you open this, you get to where this zoning is so easy to come out here? St. Mary's is hungry to come out here. Don't you think you're gonna open a can of worms where, like, up there around Town Line Road and 33 and some of them places? Don't you wanna toughen it instead of ease it up? Have you guys ever thought about that? If you make this industrial, St. Mary's is gonna run right up there, and they're gonna make a bunch of that industrial. Vogel Road. I mean, I think you guys ought to just think about this a little bit. And one other thing I wanna say is, what is wrong with Hirschfeld? I mean, his mother is a hoagie, okay? And his father was raised right next to St. Mary's here by planting a road. They're all Blaze County people. Weber, where's? Perrysburg. Ah, Perrysburg. And what's this all about? Money. We got a good stone quarry. And then one other thing I want is compassion here. You got me sitting there with about 130 acres, 2 sides of that. You got Jim John's, I don't know how many acres that is. And we got stores sitting there with 3 sides that the stone quarry is on them, 3 sides. I get some air over there if they come in. The stores, somebody build a house there, they're gonna have 3 sides of the stone quarry, plus they're gonna have the trucks running on the other side of them. I mean, that's horrible. But we need, look at my land values. I'm probably gonna lose 15–20% once you designate that industrial. And what about Jim Johns? I mean, he was trustee for years. He signed it. He's not for this. I want some compassion, maybe. Think about this, guys around here. Let's keep it agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you, Dusty. Anybody else?
Did them trucking companies have any right saying what they had at the meeting the other night when they're out of the township?
It's a public meeting. I mean, anybody is welcome there.
And then another thing is, they bring that driveway in next to Dusty. That's gonna be right next to Dusty's property line. Shouldn't they be able, do they even got that right to do that? That they should stay so far away, and they can't. Because they got both of them, there's only how many feet there? And you're gonna bring how big equipment in there, and you're gonna bring it in that whole path?
Once again, the presentation the other night, I was hoping for more information out of it.
It's very bad.
I'm hoping to give them a few more minutes. I'm hoping we do get a better presentation. I think there's gotta be a different option.
And another thing I got to say about it is, there's 6 years on this quarry with them, okay? And then he goes there and leases that, and you guys let him do that. And then he's 50-some years old, then he turns around, he gets it going, he sells it to some other big company, and then they turn around and say, well, we're not gonna do that road. That was the other guy that said that he would do that, replace that road, but we didn't say it, so we're not doing it.
I guess I just haven't heard a positive piece of information or somebody talk
towards it that wasn't making money for or off of it.
Pretty much, yeah. I was gonna say, kinda get back to what Luke said, what's the benefit for us? For getting another
What's the
quarry?
benefit for the township?
Yeah, us,
Yeah.
the people.
Question about the water too. They use a lot of water, right?
I don't know that they use it, but it's a
To
hole in
wash,
the ground, so
to
it
wash their
comes.
stone, I
wash
heard
the
they use a
stone.
lot of water and they wouldn't say how much.
You can maybe look that up with the state,
But is,
request it.
are they allowed to use as much as they want? Is there any kind of
Do they
limit
monitor?
out here?
I think that is probably a mining, Bureau of Mines question. That's definitely not anything in our permit process.
Okay, so if they have two quarries taking all that water, our wells are going to go dry when it gets dry outside. And where does this water go? They just throw the sediment and everything into the river?
Into the river.
Do you know that
Like
they
me.
have wash stone?
Al's backyard.
Al's backyard.
Right through your septic.
I don't think they have any wash stone.
Well,
They don't
use
wash, they just-
water in the crushing process,
Okay.
and then there's overflow, goes into a filtering pond,
Mm-hmm.
sediment pond,
Okay.
then it drained out into the river at this current quarry.
Okay.
Now Hirschfeld said they used a lot of water and he couldn't come up with, an amount.
He has to file a permit, he said, with the state.
He said there's-
Discharge.
He said there's plenty of water, they don't need to recycle it. I asked the question about recycling water.
Yeah.
But if
In
there's
that
two
retention
quarries
pond.
doing it,
Exactly.
and their wells are 150 feet deep, and ours are only around here, they're not that deep.
And I believe, without, I didn't call, but this research on this whole water topic is, that it says something about a 4 mile radius, basically, which I'm assuming is, by the way, bird flies, not roadway. 4 miles, you're talking, getting close to town, and probably getting outside of, township as well. And I don't, like I said, I don't know the legality, but they write a bunch of stuff in the laws, but there was a
I can tell you that my property is one property outside of the, if you buy the first 100, we'll do the second 100 agreement with the quarry, current quarry.
Well, the current quarry, he said he never had to sign one.
Okay.
He's not legally obligated, where Weber now in the process, this is coordinated, I don't know if it's legal, true, but I don't think he would purposely lie to us. Now when they do it because, back in the 70s, they didn't know it adversely affected as much as what they do now, kinda like cigarettes back in the day, no harm, and then now they have harm, so.
They would be back in the 70s, a lot of these wells were 30 and 40 feet deep, and.
Yeah, so I mean, that's one of the things, on the website, it says 4 miles. And that's a pretty good distance.
Yep.
And that's a lot of residents. And I mean, obviously, that's something they have to cover in their permit process, but I don't know what you're dealing with, if you get into the city then, or, their water tables, or get into another township.
The wells on Glenwood, not
I
so
should say, even with that, two quarries,
Yeah, because of the
Well, we
underwater
have
flow
legal obligations.
and with the water they're using.
I mean, I don't know, but I thought he did say that they made him sign something. Or maybe he just did it out of goodness of his heart.
He did it out of goodness of his heart.
Hirschfeld did he had gone around and told the neighbors if they had trouble with their wells, he would, if they would go down 100 foot, he would pay for the second 100 foot, because he wanted to make sure that they have water.
I could kind of support that, because when we moved in, we bought off the Hertensteins, left these old place. So, when we moved in, I was told that by the Hertensteins, that, Hirschfeld did go around and do that.
Is that on a deed though?
Anybody with,
Not
within a
not that I
mile
see,
radius
but I didn't know.
of the stone
Right.
quarry, they have to by state law now replace their well.
I guess, so that's.
But here's the problem with that, now if you put I know that we don't wanna.
Who's gonna blame?
zoning and there's another area, but it's not that, gentlemen, it is not that. It is, they're going to put a quarry in there, that's what they wanna do, that's what they're saying. So if and they do that, and if they do that, and we've got 2 quarries there, and my well blows, you know what that's gonna end up doing. I'm gonna be arguing with Hirschfeld's, I'm gonna be arguing with Weber's, and I'm gonna be out.
Which one's gonna pay for it?
In the
We're
end, I'm
throwing
gonna
the
end up having
stoners
to pay
too.
for that because the
Stoners
utility
own the
fees
land.
will cost me tons.
$10,000 per
And you can tell me
Stoners
that, you
gotta
can
be
tell
the one
me
to
that
pay for the well.
dynamiting has improved and
Because you don't
you
pay
can lay all that crap on me, and I'm not gonna
to.
believe it, because the
Every time they blast.
pictures are still, not all of them, but every once in a while I'll come home, there's pictures laying on the floor. Now the dog can't get up to 6 foot. I mean, something's happening. And then I hear somebody else say, yeah, they dynamited it. And I especially don't like it when I mention that at the last hearing, and I get somebody from that side, and Mr. Weber might not have been responsible for it, but he comes up and approaches me and says, give me your phone number. We'll take care of that. And I said, well, let's don't make this, no, give me your phone number and we'll take care of that. Well, I don't like that attitude. I didn't get that attitude from Hirschfeld's when I looked at him when they took the trees down, and I'm going, we're gonna put another big hole in?
Yep.
And I looked at Jeff and looked at him square in the face and said, you gonna dig another hole there? He didn't blink an eye, he didn't get upset with me, I was upset. And he said, no, you don't have to worry about that for 50 years. I said, I don't have to worry about that anyhow. I mean, I don't like that attitude. You got money, respect the people that don't have as much as you. And I don't think we're seeing that at all.
I agree.
And I don't know Mr. Weber, and he seemed very nice at the thing, and that's why I addressed him as Mr. Weber. I don't know the man, but if that's what's working around it, I don't like it.
Just throw this out here from perspective. Say Jim Johnson wants to sell his farm in a year. Say we purchase it, say we build a double wide hog barn on it. Say the pit's plumb full, say we got 800,000 gallons of manure in it. Say they blast one day and it splits that pit. Who's gonna pay for the EPA disaster and to fix it? Is that them or is that my problem?
We're stoners.
Just something to look at from a farm perspective, you know, for future reference.
To go on with that too, on the blasting, they'll be built next to lot 14, which I believe is historical. I would assume they were smart enough to look into it, but the blasting regulations and basically the effects of the blast are half of what they can be at Al's house, for example.
And they made the comment that it's not the blasting, it's the drilling, so they could make sure they don't interrupt the water supply through the canal and all that, but that's not building an industrial park or industry or asphalt paving plants or stone quarry right beside these heritage trails are not what everybody's using them for, and everybody's coming from outside the county even to come enjoy it. Even if the water is not disturbed, that's a huge impact.
Also, is there a recovery thing, or when they've done, they just leave a hole there with nothing?
They covered that there, so basically they have like a $2,000 a year bond, and as long as they say leave a year worth of gravel in it, they just keep paying that $2,000. That's chump change to that.
So they leave it.
They just leave it, and then they can leave that hole as a big giant eyesore. Here's your $2,000, here's your $2,000, here's your $2,000. That's paid to the state, because I thought the bond was gonna be much more significant than what it was. You know, like where it would be like a finished cost to refurbish that land back to 140 acres. You know, they estimate that quarry could last 100 years or whatever, you know, to refinish that in whatever, 21, 25 or whatever, back to 100 acres of farmable farm ground. How much would that cost to truck in topsoil, all that? No, it's not that. It's $2,000 a year. I mean, $2,000 a year to dig a hole 150 foot deep. You can't even buy the gravel to do that for $2,000 to cover that hole back up.
And we're left with it. We're the ones that suffer.
Oh, one guy online said, no, to make a great fishing hole. I mean,
If
we got a lake.
it won't fill up.
We got a lake. We got a
Yeah,
real
it keeps running.
We got one right over by the dump.
Yeah.
That we pay extra for.
Three-eyed fish in there.
That we pay extra for.
Another eyesore.
Okay.
Vicky's got something else.
I just got a couple notes here. Noble Township is an ag community. To lose 142 acres to industrial, and additional land to improve the roads, the bridges, it will significantly reduce the farm ground and the farm income. It will harm the crops, the wildlife, and cause safety issues. I don't know if you guys can hear this. This was said at the meeting the other night. I don't know if you, I don't know if I can get it loud enough. Watching his children, he expects us to keep our kids off the road, ride their bikes. He's saying, you're tough shit.
Yeah, he did. And as old as he is, his kid better not have to.
It's kind of just going back to the attitude that Al said too, and the attitude of those people.
No one is supporting the rezoning except those that don't live in here and don't vote. Remember Mr. Knott said, you better watch your kids. It might not be a quarry, but any industry increases the risk with that attitude. Studies show that there is significant impact on property values. An example in Delaware County, property within a half a mile lost a 36% value of their homes. Farther away, at 1.5 miles, it was still 25% less. Even 5 miles away, at a lesser degree, the property values dropped. I've heard people say that if it passes, they will be selling. We already know people that are going to sell it and move out of the area. They want to do it before the stone quarry goes in, so that they don't lose their home value yet.
Just go by it, they know it's coming in. Can't never sell it.
Our daughter wanted to build a house down there across from Walnut Road Church. Well, if any industry goes in there, they're not gonna build. And my daughter and my son-in-law make big money. They would be a good tax value for you guys. Entry and exit roads will affect our values. We're in a bind. We have a farm operation. We could move out of our house. We can't take all those buildings and silos with us. So we're stuck, right? It's just impossible for us to move. And yet we're gonna sit there and get beat up by another stone quarry? I doubt if any of you trustees will want it close to you. Out of sight, out of mind. We are preparing a referendum for the November ballot if you pass this and risk our farm ground. And we will fight till the end. And Grant, I gotta say something to you on, I don't think this is right, but it sounded like you guys had already made up your mind when we were in the storage room after the hog roast. You said you already pretty well decided you were gonna pass it. You said that.
I have not made any decisions yet.
But you pretty well looked like you were leaning that way. So if you guys have been talking it over ahead of time, you're in violation of the sunshine laws. I want you to know that. That's all I gotta say.
Well, thank you for everybody coming. We'll have a motion to adjourn the meeting. Oh, do we have, sorry?
Yeah, I was gonna say something.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll come over here. So, kind of to round out the closing statements, it sounds like, I do solemnly swear that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Ohio. Gentlemen and ma'am, like you, I have made an oath to protect and defend the state of Ohio and the United States Constitution, to have respect and reverence for the democracy of this country, I also, like you, have taken this responsibility seriously. I have trained domestically and fought overseas for this amazing country to remain a democracy, to preserve the sacred right for the people to vote and to choose their local leaders based on their trust, values, and beliefs, and to elect them. This delicate freedom should not be taken lightly. Noble Township citizens are telling our elected officials that we do not want this quarry. We do not want the rezoning, period. The responsibility we have entrusted in you is the very basis of local government. We're asking you to represent our voice and stop the rezoning.
Ladies, man.
Show the township you're listening to your stakeholders. Instill and grow the trust in this relationship. I'm aware that it might not be the easiest. It might not be the easiest, and it will be a hard decision. I'm not saying that that's a wrong decision to put it on the ballot, but I am confident in saying it will tremendously affect the way the Noble Township constituents view and grow trust in its leaders moving forward. Thank you.
Okay. I'm kind of checking off what I already had.
Okay.
That, so I don't wanna repeat things to you. I like standing up, I have to do that for one time.
You're getting old now.
I'm gonna sit down.
That's why I stayed seated.
So, my job was just to give a recap. Kinda got out of order, some of that was me, and some of the things I brought up. It was to give a recap of the last, and I understand the zoning, and it comes first. I understand that, like I said before, we're not specifically talking about a quarry, and there's an argument to be made later on that. But I wanna reiterate that I still think this is about a quarry right now, and everybody knows that, and that makes it an issue. We talked about those two quarries successfully operating in the township as a financial benefit, offset the cost of infrastructure and loss of value to surrounding properties. And that goes whether it's a quarry or it's something else, short of a Dollar General or something like that. I mean, you know as well as I do, it's gonna be the same thing.
That's a Walmart sitting by a Walmart.
Yeah.
That's how big they are.
We talked about John covers the cost of damages caused by the quarry, like wells, understand it's a law right now and so forth.